Hey everybody, it's Helen Moses, your voice and messaging coach. Today, if you didn't know it, is the last day of October, which means it's a Wednesday and it's not Tap Tuesday, but I'm doing a Tap Tuesday video because we're running out of time and I want to raise more awareness about aphasia. Aphasia, as I have mentioned, and if you're just tuning in, is an impairment to language and the components of language in varying degrees: reading, writing, speaking, listening. It affects large numbers of people, mainly from a stroke or from a brain injury. I am on a mission to raise awareness about aphasia and to raise money for Triangle Aphasia Project, or TAP, because I'm turning 50 next week and this matters to me. But it doesn't just matter to me, and it doesn't just matter to the people who have aphasia. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Aphasia matters to our society, and let me tell you why. First of all, aphasia happens at random times. No one plans to have a stroke. No one plans to have a brain injury. No one plans to have a disease in the brain that affects the language area and causes aphasia. No one plans that. No one wants that. So it's a disruption to that individual's lives. But imagine one individual, maybe you. You have a job. You have a place in society. And suddenly, your ability to communicate and act in your role as you have been doing is gone. It's not there. So that means, I've met people with aphasia at TAP, at Triangle Aphasia Project, who were in corporations and had great jobs, and then suddenly they couldn't do it because they couldn't communicate, they couldn't connect, they could not find the words, they could not break down the sounds they were hearing and put them back together again as language. Or they could understand it, but they couldn't get the words that they wanted to say broken down into speech sounds and put back out as language that someone else could understand. So when that happens, it affects that person, clearly. It affects their immediate family and friends and neighbors and all the people that used to work with that person, right? All the people that they communicated with, connected with in society, maybe at their church, maybe at a sports events, maybe just on a social level, or they volunteered somewhere and their presence was very much appreciated, and it's no longer there. It's a problem for society because people with aphasia often present like they have some sort of mental deficit. They do. It's a brain disorder, not disorder, but it's damage to the brain that's caused this problem. But it's not like they're slow mentally. It's not like they've lost their intellect. People with aphasia have just lost the ability to put all of the many pieces of language back together in a way that they can be understood, and sometimes in a way that they can understand it. It's not that they have lost their ability to understand concepts, their ability to love people, their ability to need connection. So here's another reason why this is a problem for society. People with aphasia tend to become isolated, withdrawn, because they can't connect to others, and others don't have the patience to try to connect with the people who have aphasia. This affects their families, and many family members end up going into isolation as well, because no one understands what it takes to be the caregiver of someone who has aphasia and the extra burden of communication that they have to have on behalf of their loved one. I spoke to one of the moms at the recent Race for Strides for Speech 5K event, and her son had aphasia, and she talked about how much she had to advocate for him at his college. He takes some classes online. He's a young guy that had a stroke. And even though they have a department that works with people with disabilities, she still had to come in and advocate and communicate on his behalf, because a disability of language affects everything, and it affects her. And she's more than happy. She says it's so worth it to be his advocate, to be there and help communicate on his behalf while he is regaining skills. But her life has not turned out the way she expected it, so her life has changed. And the circles of influence that she had has changed. And so her role in the community as a volunteer, or her job, if she had one, whatever she was doing with her time to make a difference in our society, has changed. Her role has changed, and society has to adjust. So we don't want people with aphasia or their caregivers to feel isolated. TAP helps combat that problem. It brings them together in a community. It gives them a place where other people understand what they're going through, and it gives them a sense of family. I spoke to another client there of TAP who has had a stroke about 21 years ago. 21 years ago. She still cannot communicate in many complete sentences. It's kind of fragments, and she still struggles to get the right word out. And often what happens is she'll think of a word, but a different word that's similar, maybe it starts with the same consonant or the same letter, or maybe it's a similar word in meaning, but it's not exactly what she wanted, and that can cause such confusion and frustration. And she's been doing this for 21 years, and get this, TAP has made a huge difference in her life, mainly because of the community that it has provided. But she has managed to live 21 years, and she understands everything just fine. But people hear her speak, and they start making assumptions. Why this is a societal problem is these people live everywhere. People who have had aphasia, who do have aphasia, people who are family members and loved ones of people with aphasia. This happens everywhere, all the time. These people are everywhere, and we need them back into society. We need them to be productive because that's what they need. And when they are productive in society through programs like TAP Roots, which helps them use their gardening skills, they plant seeds, they make a difference, they grow food for the community. When they get to give back because they have been empowered again after their loss of language, society wins. Society wins when more people understand what aphasia is, and we don't just turn our backs on someone because they don't make sense when they speak. We don't just turn our backs on someone and leave them alone because they had a stroke and now we don't have the patience to go back and try to understand what they have to say, or we don't know how to tell them what it is that we want to say. We don't know how to speak aphasia. Well, guess what? TAP has a program called How to Speak Aphasia. TAP does this for families, for community members, for others who need to care for and who love people with aphasia so that they can make that connection. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if this day were the last day that you could formulate a sentence coherently? How would that change your life? How would that change your life? Have you ever thought about that? Please don't take your voice for granted. Look, TAP is doing amazing things in the community. This is why I picked this charity. So why should you donate, or at least share this video if you can't afford to donate? Help other people become aware of aphasia, because it's not just something that I want to do for my 50th birthday. It's not just that. It's bigger than that. It's not just to help the few people that I might have started relationships with at TAP as clients and founders and people like that. It's not just that. It's not just to help their families find more support and ways to not feel isolated and ways to help their loved ones get back into society. It's not just that. It's because this problem affects our entire society, and 80% of people in our society do not know what aphasia is. They do not understand it. They meet people with aphasia and they think they're just mentally slow or that they had some problem. They don't get it. They don't get it. So help me help them get it so that together society benefits from the gifts that these people were given that they still have to give, right? Help me support Triangle Aphasia Project. Help me support in one of several ways. Number one, donate money. I don't care what the amount is. Yes, I'm asking $50 for my 50th birthday if you can afford that much, but $1, $5, all of it is so appreciated. So that's number one. Number two, what else can you do? Do you have a company that matches donations? Ask them to help match your donation or match somebody else's donation. Do you have or know of a company that is looking for a good charity to support as the year comes to an end? maybe they have a little extra funds, it is tax deductible, and you would be making a difference for our society. Do you have something that you might be willing to donate for a silent auction? I'm putting together a short one in a very quick amount of time, but I'm looking for items both that can be offered virtually and that I can have in a local place to be able to do a silent auction. And finally, this is probably most important to me and to the people with aphasia: help others understand what it is. Help others know what this word means. Help others understand that there are programs like TAP, Triangle Aphasia Project, that are making a big difference, and that together we can do this for society. Because when people in our society are not able to contribute what they were meant to contribute, society loses. Society loses. Help society win by helping more people understand what aphasia is, and by donating if you can. Please share this. Please help others become aware. And when you see somebody who is having trouble speaking, help them by staying connected, by understanding how to speak aphasia. Listen to them, connect with them, make eye contact, give them a hug, help them not be isolated, tell them about TAP. That's my soapbox speech for you today. I love Triangle Aphasia Project. I love you for helping me spread the word and get this message out and helping me reach my goal of raising $10,000, but more importantly, just helping raise awareness. This is not just for me. This is not just because it will make you feel good to do it. It's not just because it will give you good karma. It's because it matters for our society. We want to connect people, not divide. And this is one way, one starting place in which we can do it. Thank you for listening. Go TAP. It's TAP Tuesday on a Wednesday. Have a great one.